What's going on, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. I'm gonna try maybe doing some videos like this every once in a while. Hopefully this is short because I'm holding it with my hand. My arm might get tired. But anyway, I just went on Twitter. I saw Jalen Rose posted this video saying we should stop using Mount Rushmore and we're using it as an analogy for greatness because it's offensive, because Native Americans, land was stolen from them and is built on top of dead bodies. And this is what he said. So we should stop using Mount Rushmore when we're talking about our favorite players and favorite rappers, et cetera, et cetera. And I saw the commentary that some people left. I left comments and quote tweeted some things that I had to say about it as well. And I saw a lot of people saying, well, Jalen is dumb, he's stupid, he's an imbecile, he has a low IQ, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is, now, first of all, do I think Jalen Rose is a intellectual? No, I don't. Jalen Rose is a former athlete, as am I, and he's articulate. He's good at putting words together, and he has held his job down at ESPN for damn near 20 years. So he's good at doing what he does on ESPN. But at the same time, Jalen works for ESPN. And when you work for a company, a public-facing company like that, there are certain things you can't say, and there are certain things that at times you have to say. So let's break this down in a logical way. First of all, he said we should stop using Mount Rushmore. Let's just go back to the Native American thing, that it was stolen from them and it's offensive because their Native Americans are allegedly offended by this. Jalen Rose is a black guy from Detroit. So he's offended for the Native Americans. Therefore, we shouldn't use Mount Rushmore. Okay, so this goes right to this book that I just finished reading. It's called The Coddling of the American Mind. If you haven't read this book, you should go read it. It's a really good book. And what Jalen's doing here is this is the social justice thing. All right, so I see something that someone else did to you, and because I'm offended for you, I'm going to get mad at that person, even though I had nothing to do with the situation. And it's not that it's necessarily wrong, but this is how a lot of the social justice stuff is happening now. This is how you got a whole bunch of white people trying to argue on behalf of black people, and black people like me, like, yo, shut the fuck up. We don't need your help. Like, we didn't ask you to speak for us. But then you got black people on the other side, like, yeah, white people, they cheering for us. So this is what happens when you get people not minding their business and thinking that it's their business to speak up for another person. Jalen Rose is not a Native American. He's a black dude from the hood in Detroit. And he's 40-something years old. Jalen Rose is damn near 50. Now he's talking about it's offensive to use Mount Rushmore. Where did he get this idea from? Who knows? Maybe he read it in a book. Maybe somebody at ESPN told him. Who knows? All right, but it's his opinion, and he's allowed to have it. But let's talk about this. We're Native Americans. The land was stolen from them. Definition of steal is to take something without permission. In the times where America was being settled, especially the western part of America, because there was a time when America was just all the way over to the Mississippi River and everything else was just barren land. We didn't know what was over there. We didn't know there were people over there. When we discovered it, the settlers went over there and they started taking shit. The south part of America, Florida, all the Bible Belt area, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia. There were Native Americans in all these places, and the settlers, they took that shit. They took it. They conquered that land. Understand something. In that time, it was normal for people to go take shit from other people. This is what we did. It happened in America, it happened in Asia, it happened in Africa, it happened in Russia, it happened in Australia, it happened in every land in the world, is that whoever had the muscle took the land from the other people. This was a normal thing. This is the way things operate. It happened here the same way it happened everywhere else. South America, Mexico, you just took land. If you saw somebody had something, you wanted it, y'all went to war over it, people died, and whoever had the stronger army, they got the land, and everybody else, you either had to move out, you became a slave, or you got murdered. That was the deal. And that's the way that it worked. Now, by 2022 standards, if somebody went and tried and did that, then people go against them, just like right now. They went and invaded Ukraine, and now everybody's going against Russia. Russia's wrong. They shouldn't do that. Well, listen, this is the way military operations work. Whoever has the stronger army wins, and if you can't fight back, then you submit. That's the deal. That's the way that it works. Get down or lay down. That's the way that it works, or fight back. Those are your options. And in the world at that time, when the land got taken from Native Americans, not stolen, but taken, conquered by the settlers, that's how we ended up with what we ended up with. And the Native Americans, I mean, they kind of they got some reparations or whatever, but do they still own the land and have all control of it like they used to? No, they don't, but they didn't have a stronger army. This is the way that the world worked at that time, folks. And some of you are trying to apply 2022, Jalen Rose, trying to apply 2022 principles to whatever time period that was, let's say 200-300 years ago, to that situation, which makes no sense. Same way that 100 years from now, actually, let me back up. Jalen Rose, he wants to apply these moral principles. So this is a moral argument that he's making. It's a morality thing. Since we stole the land, we shouldn't talk about it. So let's just never use the term Mount Rushmore because this land was stolen from Native Americans. Okay, so we're going to moralize, Jalen. You got to moralize all the time. See, this is the part that when woke people do this is the part that I notice, is that they want to apply morals, but they only want to apply them selectively when it's convenient for them. So it's convenient to apply morals to some old dead white people on behalf of Native Americans. But notice who he's not talking about: black people, who he actually is. He don't want to talk about that because that would require him saying some things that may piss off or offend some people who he needs to be cool with, or some people who his bosses at ESPN won't let him offend. Such as, there are rappers who have made a lot of money glorifying their past in drug dealing, glorifying the streets, glorifying killing people, using the N-word, which is very offensive to a bunch of black people who are Jalen's age and people who are our parents and grandparents, very offended by the use of the N-word. Why ain't Jalen Rose making a video about that? I mean, that would speak directly to his people and directly to his culture and directly to where he's from. He's talking about Native Americans and white settlers. What does he know about any of that? Nothing. But he won't talk about his own culture, because doing that, again, his bosses probably wouldn't even let him do it. The white people who he works for won't let him hold black people accountable. Think about how crazy that is. And he won't even do it because those are the people he's trying to be cool with and the people he's trying to appeal to when he makes these arguments that defy logic. They defy logic because he's being selectively moral. You can't be a selective moralizer. If you have morals and you have principles, you have morals and principles all the time. Not just when it's convenient for you, not just when you can please a certain audience or you can appease your base. Your morals and principles have to apply all the time if you're going to go public with them. If you're going to put it out and say, this is what I'm about, these are the principles and morals I'm standing on, it's all the time, and it's to everything. Not just the stuff that's okay with you, not just the stuff that your friends are going to be all right with you saying, everything. Even if it means your friends are going to be mad at you. But Jalen Rose, I do not believe Jalen Rose doesn't understand it. I think he does understand it, but I think he's being selective with his moralization, which is why I can't respect that kind of moralization. People who pick and choose when they're going to talk about something, but they leave out the stuff that would lead to an uncomfortable conversation. So that's where I stand on the Jalen Rose thing. And he's talking about the Native Americans and it got stolen from there. It didn't get stolen, it got taken. And in that time, there was no stealing. You didn't need somebody's permission to take something. You just took it because you wanted it. And that's the way it works. And so the Native Americans, they didn't have the manpower. They didn't have the muscle. And that's the deal. And that's why we got America today. And guess what? There may come a time, because of the coddling of the American minds and how weak we're making ourselves and how much Americans are basically trashing America, like Jalen Rose just did in this example. The more we keep doing this is making America weaker. Our what's the word? Just the spirit of Americans in our country is getting weaker because of arguments like this one. We are beating up our own country to make America weaker. Our moral spirit is weak. So when China, who's building up at our expense, decides they're going to come and take our land, guess what? They might take it. We can't say, oh, it was stolen from us. No, it wasn't stolen, it was taken. Because we didn't have the manpower and the muscle to defeat it, because we got a bunch of coddled minds and a bunch of weak people making weak arguments and appealing to people with this garbage, like Jalen Rose just did. He's not the only one. He's not the biggest one. This is just an example of one. I want y'all to keep all that in mind. Work on your game. Dre all day.